business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time. All right, we are here with week 30 of It's Business Time, joined by Lavante Dorsey of Lavante Dorsey and Associates.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
Lavante.
you for having
Appreciate
me.
it
I'm
so
so
much.
excited.
Yeah, definitely. Another really great recommendation by Sarah Crawford.
Sarah,
Becoming
she's the person.
She is becoming a legend here at It's Business Time for her connections, and just her overall vibe is incredible.
Yes, yes.
So I'm so excited to get into your story here. I looked at your website. I looked at some other stuff, but I really, there's so much more I have to learn. Before we get rolling, though, I do always want to give a quick shout out to Stitch House for having us. They are right here on Market Street. They always have 12 beers on draft. They are a small business as well. Very flavorful food. You just had the Caesar wrap,
Oh
right?
my goodness, it was so delicious.
Good Caesar wrap, good. And I'm going back to the sour this week. It's nice and light for me, so make sure to support your local businesses. Come through Stitch House. And with that, we are rolling. Again, Lavante, thank you for joining us.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, let's kind of keep this story style, right?
All right, all right.
And work our way to the beginning. So currently you're doing a range of kind of things from mental health counseling, therapy, life coaching, being a speaker and things like that.
Yes.
And so I can't wait to get into what you're doing now. But I want to go back a little bit before you started Lavante Dorsey and Associates.
Yes.
What were you doing professionally? And then what was kind of that impetus, that moment of change?
Yes.
Where you said it's time to strike out.
Okay, so I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I looked up. I ran into an old supervisor at the Wawa on Philadelphia Pike.
Okay.
And when I saw him, he said, you should come work for me at United Cerebral Palsy, which was an agency for persons with disabilities.
Okay.
So that was my first job in the field as a case manager. And then I also, at that time, because in social work, you don't get paid that much. So I had to hustle. Yep. I also worked for Children and Families First in their teen clinic. So STD pregnancy testing for youth. And then I transitioned to working for Child Inc., which has a children's shelter for our youth, our foster care youth here in Delaware.
Yeah.
So just really
all over. Talk about boots in the trenches. You were doing a little bit of all of that stuff.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And then I knew that I wanted to kind of transition to working more individual therapeutically, using fully my degree in a capacity.
Yeah.
So I had the honor to work for the Center for Child Development, which is a huge mental health private practice here in Delaware.
Gotcha, yeah.
And that's where I realized, wow, okay, I could, because there's Lisa Savage. She is my mentor. She is amazing. And she showed me that I, too, can own a practice. And I knew at some point I wanted to just, unleash my creativity and have, no one telling me what I could or couldn't do.
Right.
And I knew that I wanted to open my own private practice eventually.
Gotcha. And this was 2000.
I started working with her in 2015, stayed there for a few years, working within our local schools, doing one-on-one therapy, and then transition to mine.
This is kind of a good time to ask a question that I don't actually ask a whole lot on this series, believe it or not. But because you said 2015 is when you started to have the vision. And then we talked a little before, in 2019 is when it became formal.
Yes. Right.
So was there a planning phase, a prep phase, a saving phase? Tell us a little bit about that period, because, a lot of us know, you can have an idea for a long time before it's ready to really jump.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was building up the confidence and belief in myself that I could do it.
Yeah.
I already had an amazing mentor that was willing to show me the ropes and teach me things. So there definitely was that build up. But the biggest part was knowing, like, Lavante,
Right.
Come on, you can do it.
Yeah.
If someone else is doing it, you can do it. You just got to
Right.
believe in yourself. Of course, you're going to make mistakes along
Yup.
the way.
Yup. So you have this great mentor. You're building your confidence. You're picturing your vision.
Yes.
You're picturing your dream, where you're headed. Okay. And then was there something that kind of pushed you over that edge there? Was there something that you were like, this is the moment, this is the time?
Yes. So I was working in a position that I loved, but I still didn't feel, there's a time where you just get uncomfortable because it's a time to transition and move.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just so uncomfortable because there was this goal inside of me that needed to be birthed.
Yeah.
And until I did it, I was going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
So
right.
I think that fire and just that push and that you need to do it came up.
Yep.
And then I just did it.
Yeah. No, I love that. So in 2019, this is when you kind of like bought the website, started to
Did the
to lean
LLC
in.
paperwork.
Yep.
So for mental health therapy, you have to have certain credentialing with the insurance companies.
Yep.
So getting that done was the challenging part.
Yeah.
He's gonna walk in the frame.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
getting that done was the challenging part as well.
Yep.
Doing all the paperwork stuff, because that's the stuff where you procrastinate on that.
Yep.
Because it's almost a fear of the unknown. But I buckled down and I still remember sitting in my room when the mail came with the LLC paperwork, with the formation paperwork.
That's a special moment.
It was.
Yeah. Especially in Delaware. Delaware's known, obviously, for hosting 65%
Yes.
of the world's LLCs.
Yes.
So I remember that moment when I realized I finally got to join the herd, getting that letter and then, of course, too, paying that tax, that makes it really feel real.
Yeah. And let me not forget, oh, my goodness, how Sarah comes into play.
Okay,
I
please.
was able to take the Business Pathways to Success. I think that's what it was called at that time. The business planning course at the Women's Business Center through True Access Capital.
Nice.
So I spent the 10 weeks with Mr. Clinton Times and learning and just figuring out how to get an EIN, like those steps you have to do.
Can you say the center again one more time so I can put a link up here for
Oh, yes, the Women's Business Center through True Access Capital.
True Access Capital. That's
Yes.
it. Thank you. Because it's come up a lot. Talking to Sarah, talking to Suleika, it's come up a few times.
It's an amazing resource.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's great. I try and keep these about the people who are on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't like to gatekeep either, right? I want to make sure everyone has access to the same thing. So
Absolutely.
I'll put a link up there for sure afterwards. And so you're learning, you got your LLC, everything's rolling.
Yeah.
Those are, I can already, you're like reliving it. I can see the spark in your eye.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good.
No, you're okay.
Have a good one. Yeah, no, that's the fun of live post-edited recording. But we got a lot of lenders in this room right now too. These are all J.P. Morgan folks.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, so back to True Access Capital. You were working with them. You were working with Sarah. You were learning the ropes, so to speak. All the things that you hear about, but don't like actually do until you're ready to do.
Yes.
And then what was those early days like? Was it just you as the only therapist? Did you start with a bit of a team or just you?
It was just me at first.
Yeah.
To build up the clientele, to do that grind of marketing and social media posts. At one point, I burned out quickly, but at one point, I was really good at social media.
Yeah.
But really building up my clientele so that then I knew, okay, you're onto something here.
Yeah.
And I would be able to continue to get people. And then shortly after that, I got an office space and hired 2 clinicians.
Yeah, okay. Wow. So the brick and mortar, what year was that?
So maybe the end of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you moved quick. But I guess you were thinking about it for a while.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool. And then so you had 2 clinicians, and now, I looked at your website, and this is a good time to mention,
Yes.
right up here, check out Lavante Dorsey and Associates. You got a solid looking team going right now.
Yes, yes. So the cool thing is we offer, especially during the pandemic, is when we really noticed it was important to have telehealth therapy.
Right.
And we also realized that made therapy more accessible for everyone.
Right,
You can
right.
have therapy while you're sitting alone in your car,
Yep.
right there on your phone. So that was awesome. So we hired, right now we have 6 clinicians, including one, we have a contract with an elementary school here in Delaware.
Okay,
So we have a
gotcha.
therapist that goes into the school and provides the therapy services
very
to
cool.
our youth.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of someone who values mental health, community, family connections
Yes.
very, very highly, despite, being in a world, driven by money, right? Or at least to a large extent.
Yeah.
But just sometimes I feel like people lose track of what their actual goals are.
Yeah.
And they forget that just like talking to someone
Yeah.
like recenters all of that stuff,
It does. It does. There's a lot of stigmas, negativity associated with therapy. Because just as a society, we like to keep stuff close to us.
Right.
But there's nothing like that confidential release.
Yeah.
And a lot of
yeah.
people say, well, I can talk to my friend. Well,
Right.
it's not the same because we have
No, it
some
is not.
clinical skills to help you through certain things.
Right.
But also, it just takes away that risk of, we live in Delaware.
Yeah.
And you don't want
Yeah.
all of your business in the streets.
No, you don't.
And, we're legally bound to not
Right.
say anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely.
No, it's true. As like a 40-some-year-old man, right? I remember a time when any therapy at all was considered you're weak or you're pathetic or blah, blah, blah. And the way that I describe it to people who still think that way is I'm like, you might be able to conquer a mountain covered in weights.
Yeah.
And you might get to that top of the mountain, but you're going to be exhausted and
Yeah.
you're going to be angry, too,
Yeah.
that you had to carry all that weight.
Yes.
So you can either conquer that mountain covered in weights, or you can work on shedding some of that, taking some of the chips, and then conquer 2 mountains that year instead.
Yes.
But yeah, so they, so they carry all this weight, and it slows them down.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of, obviously what you're doing helps with this stuff, but a lot of like getting rid of the stigma for people to understand that talking to someone confidentially, is a lot different than a friend. And I experienced that too. I dated someone who was all about therapy and wanted to analyze and all this, and we tried, and I was like, look, with all due respect, this is not this.
It's not.
You
no.
know, the problems are sometimes involved. You and are
Correct.
involved. Not
Yeah.
all of them, of course.
Yeah.
But, and so yeah. Anyway, so this is 2019-20.
Mm-hmm.
So was that school? Was that one of your earlier like contracts that?
No, that was in the last 3 years that we got
Okay.
that contract.
Gotcha.
Early on, it was just strict one-on-one therapy.
Yeah, yeah.
It definitely picked up during the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we know everyone was struggling
Yeah.
with their mental health at that
Definitely.
time. And
Yeah.
we've been able to keep pretty steady. And I was going to say, too, to your analogy, a lot of times we think it's really weakness, but it's really being brave. And it's a
Yeah.
strength to say, I need help. I need someone to talk to. And really, it makes you a better person.
It does.
Therapists
It
have
does.
therapists. I have someone I
Right.
speak to as well. So it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, I see that a lot, particularly, in the male community, I only need to talk to a man for 5 minutes to know whether or not he has had some therapy.
Yeah.
It doesn't take very long.
Yeah.
And the ones who haven't, I just want to, reach out, touch your shoulder and be like, my friend, you're carrying a lot of
You're
weight.
carrying a lot.
Like,
So
it's
you should
hard enough to
kind of-
grow a business, raise 2 children, be a loving father and all this
Yes.
without carrying trauma
Yes.
from your childhood or trauma
Yes.
from college or whatever it might have been. Like, life is already hard enough without picking up that same weight every day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We juggle a lot already.
Yeah.
And anytime we can have an outlet, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So there's no doubt you're doing good work. I actually have a little background in social work as well
Awesome.
up in North Philly.
Oh.
It was tough.
I lived in
And
West Philly.
Yeah, got you. And so I have a lot of respect. I'll just be honest. I did it for 6 months, and it just wore me down. It was so much
Yeah.
that I could not carry all the the weight
Yeah.
every day. I was, people were starting to call me Mr. Pool too, and I was like being that like, hey, Mr. Pool, I was like aging. I was aging very quickly, and so that's a testament to how it really takes a certain personality to be able to like bring, life back into some people who are going through some tough times.
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. A lot of people always ask me, well, how do you not carry it? I don't know the exact answer. I
Right.
definitely know that I have my self-care. It's definitely my religious beliefs help me a lot through some tough moments, but definitely my self-care.
Yeah. Well, if you figure it out in a concise way, that is a New York Times bestseller, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit to the business itself.
Okay.
So through the years, right, you moved from one-on-one to more of like a collaborative, like going into schools and locations and things like that.
Yes.
So obviously when contracts like that come in, right, that's kind of like a proof. Proof is in the pudding, right?
Yes.
You're like, things are working.
Yes.
This skill is needed. This service is needed, and I'm being appreciated.
Yes.
Was there a time that something didn't go right, or maybe you lost a client, or maybe you were like you couldn't get insurance accepted or something? Was there a time that things weren't going well, and you really kind of questioned the whole path? And then kind of what'd you do to get back on track? And it's okay if you don't want to share. Some of these are personal.
I was going to say, do we have enough time? Because
Yeah.
a lot has happened that has gone, even more recently with the Change Healthcare cyber attack that a lot of people aren't aware of.
Yeah.
For providers, that shut down our
Right.
ability to get paid for the services that we already rendered.
Wow.
So you go into, I have to meet payroll,
Right.
and how do I do this if my source of money is not coming in? So
Right.
that would have been a time. Anytime you're hiring is challenging because you want to find a good fit for your company and your values.
Definitely.
So there's been some moments where unfortunately it wasn't a good fit.
Right.
And
right.
me, I have a warm heart, so I
Right,
don't
right.
I don't like having to
Yeah.
let people go. But
You can still come to the holiday party.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it happens.
It does,
And I always wish it no ill intent or anything.
Yep.
But I would say the biggest time. So sure, I had my son in 2022,
Okay.
Noah,
Congratulations.
and I really struggled with depression right after that.
Yeah.
So here I have to take care of a business, welcome a new baby, still market for the business and do all the roles,
Yep.
payroll, everything.
Yep.
But I was struggling with
Yeah.
how I felt about myself and just really getting that energy to do.
Yeah.
So I would say that was one of the most challenging times of the business. And definitely, like I said, my religious beliefs through prayer, I was able to pick myself back up and get things back running how they needed to be ran. Yeah.
I think everybody kind of, certainly no comparison to postpartum depression. That's very different.
Yeah.
But I think everyone can relate to, like, they set out on a goal and they have those days where
Yeah.
they struggle to get out of bed, let alone
Yes.
hit the socials, hit the emails, hit the phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to go back to the pandemic for 1 minute, and I don't want to make this about me, but that was one of the first times in my life that I
Yeah.
realized, like, mental health was even a thing.
Oh.
I know that sounds crazy, but
It does not.
my whole life, if I acted a lot, people would be like, "Oh, he's just spazzing out, or he's just intense, or whatever." They never
Yeah.
said he has an anxiety.
Yeah.
And
They
if I-
never put that very specific name to it.
And
yeah.
if I really wanted to go to an event, but instead I just sat at home and stared at a wall,
yeah. Yeah.
they people just said I was lazy. They never called it depression,
Yeah.
right? And it really
Yeah.
did take unplugging from the world for a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and realizing that the world is going to keep going whether or not you are showing up.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to, like, not always show up all the time.
It is okay.
know?
And whenever you kind of notice that it's been a good amount of time where you want to isolate from the people you usually would, you don't have
Yeah.
the energy to do what you typically would have done. Maybe you're not even showering. That's how
Yeah.
deep it
Right,
gets.
right.
That's when you kind of want to reach out to that support, those people you
Yup.
have around you to say, "Hey, I may need some assistance here."
Right. Yeah. I can definitely see that. So currently, like, what's your outreach? Or obviously, yeah.
I'm so glad you asked.
All right.
I did something so fun.
Yeah.
I was able to go to Mount Pleasant High School and do an assembly. Now, initially, they wanted me to come and do a panel discussion, but it was like they said for the whole school. I'm like, y'all want me to just sit and talk to over 1,000 kids and just talk at them?
Yeah.
I said, no, we have to make it a lot more fun.
Wow.
So I decided to get a DJ Kale, my favorite DJ here in Delaware, and I said, I need some students. So I turned it into a family-fued-style mental health game.
Wow.
So we had Family Feud on the screen. I made it mental health questions. I said I need a wide array of different students, the athletes, the ones who are all in the books, the ones who might not really talk to people. Let's put them all on one team so they can work together, answer the questions. It was a great time.
Wow, that sounds not only very unique, but also like very engaging.
Oh, definitely.
Well. Yeah.
The video, if you follow me on my page, the video is on there.
I was scared to ask, did you record that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because whenever kids are involved, there's like, people have to sign off and stuff. No. But still, when it comes to like mental health awareness and things like that, that's a good cause to share that type of. So people can find that. Can they find that on your Instagram?
They can find it on my Instagram. It's on our YouTube page.
Let's do a little Instagram here.
Yes. It's on my YouTube page as well. We are looking for middle schools and high schools to have it in for this year and next year, because it's really part of. So they call it their Tier 1 intervention. It's where it's something that reaches a whole body of students as like an intervention. Right. So we're happy to bring it. Yeah,
the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I've always felt that when it comes to all matters of health, whether it's dental health or mental health. You know, I didn't mean to rhyme, but that's not.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and just how like if you get out ahead of things, it's about like a little self-care, a little bit of management here and there. Yeah. So you don't have the crisis moments.
Absolutely.
And we all have family members, friends, things. We see that difference, and it's heartbreaking when you can see them approaching those moments. Yes. And everyone sees them approaching those moments. And everyone's trying to help, and then no, I'm fine until they're not.
Correct.
So yeah, that the intervention, not literal interventions, but the intervention of like loved ones, family, therapy, all those things is so important.
Definitely.
Got you. So these speaker engagements, that was one of the things I saw on the site as well. Yes. So is what's the best way for if someone's looking for a speaker engagement for you to come talk to a large group, something like, is that through Instagram or do you prefer the website, email?
Through our website. Through our website, it has an exact page that says request us for speaking events, and we go from there. So we have spoken at health fairs, at schools, at our local churches. Yeah. We're open. We just want to get the word out there that when you don't feel okay, it's okay to talk to someone. Yeah, yeah. Got you. Well, you definitely, you have the temperament, no doubt. Thank you. You just bring like a ray of sunshine in the building, Yay! So when it comes to improving people's moods, mental health, all that type of stuff, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you. About that. I can really see Sarah really talked you up as well. I can see why. That was another thing. I don't know if I properly mentioned it, but Sarah Crawford, she's the one who linked us up originally. Yes. This is our first time meeting formally. Yes. But we've been talking on the Facebook for a couple weeks, getting this scheduled and things like that. I actually just went to her networking thing over at MKT Place Gallery. Yeah. As well, and I really, one of the questions I asked in the beginning of this series a lot was like, what's it like growing up in a small market like Wilmington? Because obviously it's easier to network, it's easier to find circles, but then it's harder once you get outside those circles. It's like that's the only circle of that sort in our area. Yeah. But the reason I stopped asking it so much is because now that I've been doing this series and I'm starting to see that like the real benefits of the crowds that people run in, and so
can you talk a little bit about like community, like how community has played into?
Yes.
Because yours seems very much like a community focused business.
Yes. So I would say a major part of the success we have had is because of the community and just saying word of mouth. It brings me so much joy when someone posts on Facebook and says, I need a therapist recommendation, and we're just tagged and tagged and tagged.
Right.
So the community has really been the backbone of our growth.
Yeah.
And then when I just think of the trajectory of taking that women's business course, meeting Sarah, winning the entrepreneurship grant. I don't know if, well, you probably don't know, but we are the minority-owned business for the Small Business Association of Delaware for this year. So soon we'll be recording next week and then meeting the governor to celebrate.
I got you before you blew up. Yes.
Yeah.
When I try and have you back on the series and say, Aaron, I'm so sorry, I'm too busy. I'm too busy.
No. I would never.
Hey, congratulations
Thank you.
for that. That's awesome. That's incredible.
Thank you. It was it's such an honor, and it's still a little bit of that imposter syndrome, like, did I really win? But
right. I don't expect that to ever stop. It doesn't for me. It doesn't matter where I go or what I do. I always feel it. But it's yours. Not the imposter syndrome, but the award seems very well earned. And
thank you.
I think of all the people I talk to, you're probably the most capable of throwing that imposter syndrome out the window and just keep going, right?
Yeah, you just got to keep pushing forward. I think about even being so I got my first billboard this year.
Oh, wow.
And it's on Route 9 on Newcastle Avenue. And a lot of people probably marketing-wise will be like, why would she put that there? But that's my community.
Sense. I grew up around
That's where
here.
I grew up.
Yeah.
That I grew up right in Dunleavy. Yeah. And so it meant so much to me to have, like, this girl from, little old Newcastle Avenue, big old Dunleavy.
Right.
Is doing things. And just my church is also in that community. And just to see, like, the people who have seen me grow up.
Right.
It's just so proud because it's a part of, them. Because then it was the village raises,
Right,
so it credits them as well.
The rising tide lifts all ships. It's like they helped you rise up.
Yes.
And now you're in a position to help them rise up as well. And I mean, and that's really, without getting too cheesy here, that's really, I think, what a lot of us natives to Wilmington want.
Yes.
Is to just keep seeing improvements, because this city has so much beauty, so many nooks and crannies that if you know it well, you can find it and see it. Yeah. But when people come from out of town, they're a little bit rude, right? Right off the bat. They're a little bit rude about it. And you're like, I understand. You can't see it right away.
Yes.
But then we take them around. We show them a few places. We introduce them to people.
Yes.
And before you know it, guess what happens?
They're like, I love Delaware.
Yeah, they live here. They move here.
When I was in Philadelphia at my graduation for UPenn, I had, Joe Biden was our speaker for the graduation.
Right. Oh,
and
wow.
I had my UD, because I went to University of Delaware,
me
stole
too.
on. Yeah. And I was walking across stage. Everyone there knew that was the Delaware girl, and she only loved Delaware, and she was only there temporarily.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. That's proper repping. Yeah, I'm a UD alumni as well.
All right.
And, in my story, I won't get into my story, but it took a while to get there. Between high school and college, I was very confused, I should say. I was very confused.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
I'm slow but steady. That's
there
what
we
I
go.
am. I'm the tortoise. I'm the tortoise.
Nothing wrong with that.
But no, that's so cool, and it makes a lot of sense too. The pride, the local pride, and I mean, we have a great community here. You're a living testament of that. Sarah is a living testament of that.
I forgot to mention, when you said what was that spark? What was it like in those beginning stages? I would be outrageous if I didn't. One, my parents, thank them.
Yeah.
But also my aunt, Pastor Lottie Lee Davis. She has since passed away, but she was very big with the development with West Side.
Yeah.
She wanted to see so much growth for West Side. On 4th Street is the church that she pastored, and you'll see new housing buildings. She was very influential in Solomon's Court.
Wow.
But she was the one who she gave me my first kind of, you take charge and plan, running an after school program at her church, and then showing me like you can be an entrepreneur. You can. She just really sparked that creativity in me. Yeah.
That's something to reinforce, family, it can be so important. I mean, they can literally be the wind beneath your wings.
Literally. Yes. There's not a day where I'm like, oh, I wish Aunt Lottie was here to help me here, because she was just amazing. She worked for the state of Delaware for years and getting different grants out there. So, yes.
Yeah. Got you. Well, this has been awesome. I do want to keep these somewhat digestible, around 20, 25 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But before you go, I want to just take one more moment to give Lavante Dorsey and Associates a proper. How do you find them? Like,
yes.
Are you mental health counseling for any and all folks, or do you have a specific passion, a specific group, or anything like that? Yeah, give us a little bit of like, who's your ideal people? Who do you enjoy helping, and how do we find you?
So we love working with the ladies. Mm-hmm. However, since we have multiple clinicians, we have clinicians that work with our gentlemen. Mm-hmm. We work with youth ages 10 and up.
Okay.
We do accept all Delaware health insurances except TRICARE and Medicare. We're still working on those.
Yep.
And you can reach us at our website. We even text back. You can text us at 302-956-9188, and we'll respond and get you all set up. And we just go from there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Lavante, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Yay! It was. I knew it was gonna be great when I heard you singing. You have an amazing voice.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Nobody knows on the series. Nobody knows that I sing before.
My bad. I'm sorry.
It's a mystery artist. No, but thanks again for coming through. It's been awesome. I definitely look forward to get to the point where I can't book you.
Oh, good. It'll never be. My Delaware people.
I love it.
Just saying.
Well, yeah, thanks again to Stitch House for having us.
Yay.
Lavante for coming through. That does it for week 30 of It's Business Time, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye.
It's business.